Call the meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the Lord's Prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilor Armin Mercia?
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo?
Here.
Councilor Ramirez?
Here.
Councilor Broderick?
Here.
Councilor Caulfield?
Here.
Councilor Donahue?
Here.
Councilor Elliott?
Here.
Mayor Martin?
Here. Chair recognizes Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for the following two gentlemen who passed away recently. Robert Wallace, a lifelong Lowell resident who founded the Notre Dame de Lourdes Panther Band, which he operated for many years. His service and dedication to the children of this city was important to him. I certainly knew that. He retired after 45 years of service at the Sun as a staff photographer and won a prestigious New England Press Association Photography Award. He leaves his beloved wife, Connie, his two daughters, Patricia and Roberta, and his son, Michael, as well as his 5 grandchildren. And secondly, I'd like to offer the name of James Moose Karabatsis, the ever-so-famous trolley driver in the city of Lowell for the National Park Services. He was a fixture in the downtown with his friendly personality and jovial appearance that featured a large handlebar mustache. These two gentlemen will be truly missed.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Also, could we include Hank Ayers, a veteran of the armed forces of this country, a loving husband, father, member of the VFW Post 662.
Thank you. If we could rise in a moment of silence and darkened chamber in their memory. May they rest in peace. We have first item on the agenda this evening, before the formal agenda, is a special presentation concerning a Commonwealth Award bestowed by the Mass Cultural Council to Lowell's very own Revolving Museum. I'd like to ask Jerry Beck, the director of the Revolving Museum, to come forward and introduce some of those who he's worked with and tell us a little bit about the award.
Thank you, Mayor Martin, City Council, City Manager, and City of Lowell. I'm Jerry Beck from the Revolving Museum.
Linda Carney, Board of Trustees.
I'm Diana Colantino, and I'm the Teen Arts Group Coordinator.
I'm Lisa Hean. I'm part of the program.
Patricia Sin from the TAG program.
Leonidas Rios, also from the program.
Matthew Villanueva from the program.
Hello, I'm Wee. I'm also from the program.
Kevin Nguyen, I'm also from the program.
I'm James Erickson, I'm on the board of directors.
Okay. We're here obviously because we would not have gotten this award without the extraordinary support of the City of Lowell and your leadership, believing in our vision, recruiting us from the very beginning, seeing an opportunity to expand the arts and culture, and especially supporting so many young people through the creation of public artwork and projects in public spaces. So we are very much honored, and we are here to say that this is your award. And we're just so excited. This award comes every 2 years. It's highly competitive. They definitely look around the state and for the best community-based program. And it's just looking at who else is. Another interesting thing is we have another award winner actually from Lowell too, Mr. O'Connell from the National Park Service, who recently retired there. So it's real exciting to have 2 out of the 4 awards from Lowell. Just shows that we are the center of this renaissance and really providing leadership for the entire state. So I just wanted to say to you and all the citizens of Lowell, thousands of which that collaborated, this is their award as well, and we're just so honored to be a part of this great city, and we hope that you will come, if you can, to the award ceremony on March 7th at the State House. Senator Pangiotakis, I think, will be there as well, and so many of our contemporaries and constituents throughout the region. So once again, thank you, City of Lowell, from the bottom of our hearts. Diana will say just a few things about TAG, and it's a pleasure working with you. And we do know that, as you know, this summer the City of Lowell is also a major partner with the Art Ventures program, a citywide project that will involve thousands of young people and local artists in transforming the downtown Lucy Larcom Park, projecting on smokestacks, and Mac Plaza area just to start. So thank you very much for your support in that as well.
More thanks are in order from myself and from the many programs that I work with and the museum, from Art Ventures, Visionary School, Vanguardian Art, who are behind me right now, Art Botics, the Shannon program, which is geared towards the kids that are at risk of being in gangs or affected by gang involvement. And I'm so thankful that for your support and being able to provide this place for the kids to come every week or several times a week to make friends, make art, learn new things, study, and just chill out. It's really great for them. And we really have a great family. So many of our students have gone off to college at this point, so I'm glad to see that happening, and we like to provide them information regarding higher education. In addition, we have a show coming up now that we would like for you to come to on Saturday night, March 3rd, at the Revolving Museum, called Electrifying, and that's from 7 to 10, and you can see all of the youth programs that we highlight at the museum and just displaying their work there. So thank you again.
On behalf of the museum, I'd like to thank the City of Lowell for supporting our programs and also supporting the youth programs so that all the students and in Lowell and all the youth in Lowell can have a place to come other than hanging out on the streets and getting themselves in trouble. So thank you.
I'm actually I'm new in the TAG program, but I really love it, and just doing the stuff we do in there and like reacting with the other people in there is awesome. So basically, I to thank you guys for supporting us.
One more?
I would also like to thank you guys for supporting our program. We meet a lot of new people. It's very fun working with Diana and the other workers in the program. They treat us very well. And it's an excellent place for kids to go and stay out of trouble. And I'd like to thank you very much, and we all appreciate it.
Thank you.
I would also like to thank the city on behalf of the group and the museum. Through your support, you are able to lead many kids into joining and bringing out their creativity, and you are able to help them become great leaders in the future, and thank you.
Okay, all right. Let me just say, these people have been extremely modest, I think, in acknowledging this award. This is one of 4 awards given through the entire state every 2 years. So to have the revolving museum and the programs that reach out to young people be the recipient of this award is truly an honor for the museum, for those of you who participate in the program, and for us here in the city. So we're very proud of the work that you're doing, that you continue to do. The revolving museum has been a great gift to Lowell and the young people of Lowell in particular. So we offer our sincerest congratulations, and I'd like to present this citation to some of the young folks here in recognition of this very prestigious award. Okay, on with the slightly more mundane matters. We have the minutes of the February 20th City Council meeting for acceptance. Motion to approve by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are accepted. Under the City Manager's portion of the agenda, there are several communications from the manager in response to council motions and requests. Any questions or comments on any of those? Councilor Rita Mercer.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In particular, for my motion, I want to thank the Director of Parking for clarifying the policies and procedures for garage parking during snow emergencies as it relates to special events, and that would be the Director, Chuck Carney. I want to thank him very much because he writes here that he will change the city's website to communicate this policy, and he'll have signs at all the garage entrances specifying this policy during snow emergencies. And I did have a chance to go on the website, and it is changed, and so it was very quick, and it's just remarkable. I want to publicly thank him for that. And secondly, my motion regarding the entrance to the Black Bridge on Lawrence Street, largest signs are ample warning in both directions, perhaps with a light or whatever. It says, my communication, that they solicited 3 verbal quotes and estimates of the cost of the project to be $25,000. And I know money is tight, but I just wanted to know, where do we go from here? Does this just stop right now, or can we solicit some grant money or try to make it safe? Because if that's, and I don't know if they ever measured the height for the, but if we have snow and snow isn't really, flushedly gone from there, then that adds a little bit of height. So I don't know. Thank you.
Mr.
I know
Manager?
you want to answer.
Sure.
Thank you.
Council, we did measure it, and it's, I believe the sign states it's 12 feet 4 inches. In reality, it's greater than that. So
it's
I think
taller
it's 12
than
feet 8 or 12 feet 9.
Oh, okay.
We're looking at a couple of other options that we think might be less expensive and actually be more successful in preventing this from happening. What we're looking at is some type of device that would hang over the road and give people give trucks an opportunity to know if they meet that height requirement, and that would alert them, I think, a little bit better than a sign, an illuminated sign.
The flashing light, right.
So we're moving forward with that, and we're getting some pricing on that, and hopefully we'll have some more information on that within the next couple of weeks.
And you know, I feel bad bringing up a motion like this, because I think that Pan Am, Guilford Transportation, Pan Am, or whatever they're calling themselves now, they have a responsibility as well, and I don't see them stepping up to the plate. I mean, when we had a spillage from one of the trains many years ago that burnt the ground and contaminated an area, there was a very big meeting, and they promised to work with us, but evidently they didn't. I don't know. But I just needed to address that and see if we could do something about it. Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
If I may also, Councilor, just another motion that you had asked for some information on, I'm sure you saw it, regarding the Ames store on Bridge Street and the Hannaford on Plain, that there is a potential tenant that they're looking at right now for the Hannaford site, and they're making some improvements, looking to make some improvements out at the Ames store on Bridge Street. So
that'd be
I just
wonderful.
wanted to, I know that that's something that members of the public are concerned about.
That's right. Thank you for telling us that.
Thank you. Councilor Donahue?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While we're on the subject of railroads and bridges and Pan-Am, any update on when we may have that forum together with Middlesex Community College and the Congressman's office on railroad safety and the issues that we've discussed?
We are working on a joint effort with Middlesex, Congressman Meehan and Senator Kennedy's office that you've described, Councilor, and we're hoping to do that in the April to early May time frame. And we're trying to work with the Congressman's office on that right now.
Okay, great. If you can keep us posted and we can keep the neighborhoods and posted, that'd be great. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We got a notice tonight. I want to thank you, Mr. Manager and Mr. Fernandez, for, it says we're going to start having the responses to the motions posted on the website. I know it took a little while, but it looks like he's got everything in order. It's going to be indexed, so hopefully it'll be easily accessible. I don't know if there's any instructions that you need to give in terms of for people at home to be able to access it. But thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
If I may, Councilor, I apologize it took as long as it did to get that on. It did require some reworking of our website, but I think you'll be very pleased with it when you see it. You'll be able to go into the websites, particularly the city manager's webpage. I think there's also a tie-in with the city council webpage to see the motions that have been filed by each one of the councilors, and this will be on a running basis from January 1st on, and we are trying to go back a little bit to when I came on. And you'll be able to see the actual motions, see the response, and also see any attachments that department heads or staff have put together in backup to the report that I make. It's already up and running. It went live today. We wanted to try it out. It looks very good. It's actually better than the system that we were looking at in some of the other cities. And we've already had a very positive response from some people that have been checking out the website on a regular basis. So again, I apologize it took so long, but I think the end result is very positive.
Thank you. It was worth the wait.
Thank you. Anything further? Councilor Ahmed Mercia?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We did receive a report from the manager who got the report from our auditor regarding the out-of-state travel account. I'm assuming that was based on a request made by Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes, it was.
Having been a professional manager in some other capacity in the past, I think these things are very good for a manager to get involved and to have these seminars. However, question, I don't recall voting to authorize the out-of-state travel for San Antonio. I may be in error on that, but I checked with a couple of my colleagues, and I don't recall that coming to a vote. Did that come to a vote for us?
Council, I don't believe it did come to a vote. That's in my contract that I attend the International City Management Association. So it's by vote of the council in adopting the contract, it's already authorized.
Well, let me suggest that
at least that was my interpretation.
Yeah, I think.
And it was also within the first month of my employment.
Okay, I think you need to revisit this because let me quote from your contract. Any such courses, institutes, or seminars that require out-of-state travel are subject to prior approval of the council and subject to the availability of funds. One part of that was satisfied in the budget. However, there was never a vote of the council to prior approve that out-of-state travel. It could have been an oversight on your part, but at the same time, it does require that unless I'm reading this contract wrong.
Council, I don't have the contract in front of me, but I think if you look a little bit farther down, there's another paragraph in there specifically referencing the International City Management Association annual conference.
Yes, it does, and I'm not questioning you going. I'm questioning the fact that it wasn't approved by the council.
But I think it states in there that it shall.
Well, why don't, so that you and I don't get into a debate, because
right.
I'm reading
we'll
this
take a
very
look
clearly, and it does allow you to go.
Mm-hmm.
It does reimburse you for going, subject to availability of funds. But it does specifically say that the council needs to approve it.
Perhaps
but just take a look at it, and I'm not
sure.
a lawyer, but I read this to mean that if you're going to go out of state, it's allowed under your contract, but it also has a requisite that requires a council approval.
I'll be happy
just
to
take
give
a
you a
look
report
at
on that, Council.
so that we can, get this straight in the future, because I'm sure you're going to be doing quite a bit of travel in your capacity belonging to the Mass Municipal Association, which is a great association to belong to. I'm sure it'll benefit the city. But I just want to make sure that you're not going on a travel that required approval of the council and didn't
Absolutely.
get it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We received a 5-year forecast, Mr. Manager, and I think we all appreciate it because it sort of outlines our fiscal picture for the next, next 5 or 6 years, 6 years. And the good news is that, we have it and we get a layout as to what we're faced with in the next number of years. The bad news is it's not very pleasant, if you will. So I want to recommend or suggest that this be referred to the Finance Subcommittee and have you, and I think you indicated that in your memo, give us an explanation as to where we're at. Some things that jump out, which I think you alluded to, or Mr. Moses did earlier, that there's a significant drop in the SBA reimbursement for our schools, and that has to, that difference in the debt service has to be picked up, in the general fund. So that, along with, some other deficits that are occurring in 08, leaving us with a 3.3 million deficit, how do we make that up, and what your plan is before we get into it. I think a thorough explanation or explanation to the full council, if you will, but I at least would like to have an opportunity to hear a full deliberation on all of these issues that will affect us this and the upcoming years.
If I may suggest perhaps a subcommittee meeting, not this next week, but the following week might be a good time to do that.
Okay. Well, do I need to, I'll make that in the form of a motion that the 5-year forecast be referred to the Finance Subcommittee.
So moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Milanazzo.
If I could, just for clarification, that was actually done last Tuesday. In your absence, Councilor Elliott.
Oh, okay.
Again, we just decided if you want to pick a date now, but I know that the zoning subcommittee, I believe, is meeting 2 weeks.
13th,
2 weeks
yes.
as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll check with the clerk and schedule something. I apologize. I didn't know that had been.
So the matter had been referred. Is that what you said?
Yes, it was
Councilor?
referred last Tuesday.
All right. So withdraw
We'll
the
schedule
motion. Okay. Okay. Further issues on reports from the city manager. Okay. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor and Council, it's just a more of a verbal report for you. At our last, at the last council meeting, there were questions raised regarding some concerns at the Treasurer's office, and I indicated at that time that it was something certainly that we were aware of, that we were working through, but we obviously had to shift gears somewhat with Mark Rosengard having to take some time off due to to illness. In any event, I just wanted to let you know that we are moving forward on a number of improvements in the Treasurer's office, a little bit faster than we had originally anticipated, but we are moving to bring on some temporary help. We're looking at increasing the hours of the existing staff. We're looking at some different options with that. We are transferring a number of responsibilities outside of the office, of the Treasurer's office, to allow the staff there to focus on the primary functions. We are consolidating staff. Specifically, we're looking at combining the responsibilities of the parking office downstairs in the basement with the Treasurer's office and moving the staff accordingly. We'll be working with the union on that. We are implementing some new software, the Treasury module that comes with our finance software program. We are enabling a remote access to the other departments so that they can make their transfers of revenue electronically. That will free up staff time in the Treasurer's office. We are also putting in a new phone system in the office. It came to my attention in working with the employees that there's a phone system there that clearly was deficient and took up much of their time trying to handle that. So we are working with the employees. We're moving forward with many of the plans that we had already begun talking about internally, and I think we're getting a handle on the problems that have been existing in that office for a number of years.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Manager, for bringing that report forward. You indicated you were going to implement some software. Is that in-house?
Yes, it is in-house.
That's in-house, the system we have right now?
It's the Munis system, yes.
Okay. Motion to accept the reports of the city manager, placed on file by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Mercier, do you have something else? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The reports are accepted. Next item on the agenda is a constable bond approval for David Small 146 Pearl Street, Newton, Mass. Motion approved by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Ramirez. Roll call.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. 9 yeas, the bond is approved. Under communications, we have 2 requests for out-of-state travel. First, dear Mayor and City Councilors, attached is a request from Ken LaValle, Acting Superintendent of Police, to send 2 employees to the Lowell Police Department to New Orleans, Louisiana for domestic violence training. Training take place May 7 through 10. The funds for this request come from the VOWA account. I don't know quite what that stands for.
Violence against women account. Violence
Okay.
on women.
That's grant funded,
Yes,
then,
it
Mr.
is.
Manager. And the second request is from the Division of Planning and Development, request City Council approval for Adam Bakke and Deputy Director George Proakis, Chief Planner, to be allowed to travel May 17 to 20 to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to attend Congress on New Urbanism, National Planning Conference on New Urbanism in the Old City. Costs are outlined below, and they are paid for from CDBG funds. No city funds will be used for this travel. Sincerely, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager.
Move for approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Milonazo.
Mr. Mayor, I actually had a third one in my packet. I don't know if it's been withdrawn, but James Erickson going to New Orleans.
I'm sorry, you're correct, Councilor. If I could just continue then, that James Erickson be allowed to attend from April 15 to 18th, Philadelphia, to attend the American Planning Association National Planning Conference. This is also paid for from CDBG funds. So, Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. I support these requests, but Mr. Manager, we had previously, and I don't know whether we're still doing it, when, for instance, the New Urbanism Conference looks, interesting, especially having to do with old cities. We had asked to be updated when folks went away, give us, a summary of the event and so forth. So if we could still continue that practice, maybe they're doing it, maybe they're not. I haven't seen it recently, and maybe no one's traveled recently. But certain of these conferences, I think it's helpful for the council to be updated as to the highlights, and so that we know what was dealt with at the specific conference.
Certainly.
So if we could ask the employees to do that and put it in our packet within a reasonable time.
Great.
All employees.
Okay. So, Councilor Caulfield, was your motion then to include all 3 requests?
Yes.
And second by Councilor Broderick. Roll call, please.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. 9 yeas, the requests are approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $25,000 through the Massachusetts Historical Commission, Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund for the restoration of the Spring House at Rogers Fort Hill Park in the city of Lowell. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? First full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the amount of $25,000 through the Massachusetts Historical Commission's Massachusetts Preservation Projects Fund for the restoration of the Spring House at Rogers Fort Hill Park in the city of Lowell. Any questions? Council Milonazo.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Can the 50% match, the $12,500, come from CDBG, or does that have to be a city match?
I'll have Assistant City Manager Coggins respond.
Mr. Coggins?
I think the problem with that, Councilor, would be that we've already closed out the applications for this year's CDBG
Right.
program.
Right.
So, I suppose what we could do in the next fiscal year, if we have a program that ends up actually being underfunded or underexpended, we might be able to make some changes and move that money over.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercia. Roll call, please.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott? Counselor Mayor Mon.
Yes. 9 yeas, the request is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with Arthur Fanaras, trustee of AJF1 Realty Trust, to use a portion of the premises located at 211 Pawtucket Street in the city of Lowell for the parking of vehicles. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Arthur Fanaras, trustee of AJF1 Realty Trust, to use a portion of the premises located at 211 Pawtucket Street in the city of Lowell for the parking of vehicles. Questions, Councilor Armin Mercia.
I have a question, probably through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city solicitors on this Mr. Fanaras' requests.
I apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The item that's before us is approving a lease agreement for spaces that was owned by the Mission Church that now is owned by the city, because I guess we took the Mission Church, and by taking the Mission Church, we also took that parking lot.
That's correct.
My question is that we are also in the process of negotiating or taking by eminent domain parcels that are owned by Mr. Fanaras to the right of the Mission Church.
We're discussing some parts.
Are there any provisions in here that would not allow those parking spaces to be used as a value towards our taking of the property that they're being used for? Example, once we enter into this lease that I'm not objecting to at all, does that place a value on the property that we're going to be negotiating to take that we would have to pay more for because of this?
I would...
Yeah, well, whoever wants to answer it. I'm a little... If I own that property and all of a sudden you came after me and I said, well, how about my parking spaces? They're now worth $70,000 a piece.
This is just a license agreement. It can be revoked with 30-day notice.
So what you're saying... My
for
question
the value,
right.
In terms of establishing the value, I believe that all this lease does is reflect the value that had already been established in the past, and to ensure that the money that's going to be coming in as the result of the parking arrangement now goes to the owner, the city, as opposed to the prior owner.
Okay, so there won't be an increased value for those parking spaces beyond what he's paying.
I don't believe that there's any change of value.
Because it's being used for the very property that we're looking to take. I just want the city to be cautious.
No, that's a very good point. And again, I don't think that there's any change in the value. There's no increase in the value. It's just to reflect that the money that had been collected in the past is now going to continue to be collected, but to go to the owner.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're protected.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. Further questions? Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Mon.
Yes. 9 yeas, the license is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with Mark Romanowski, MD, PC, to use a portion of the premises located at 211 Pawtucket Street in the city of Lowell for parking vehicles. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Mark Romanowski, MD, PC, to use a portion of the premises located at 211 Pawtucket Street in the city of Lowell for parking of vehicles. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. Per instruction of the solicitor, I'm just making disclosure that Dr. Romanowski is my physician, but I can vote on this anyway.
Move approval.
Okay, motion approved.
And I'm alive and well to do it, so.
Motion approved by Councilor Armin Mercia, second by Councilor Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes, and he's my physician as well, so I should disclose that as well.
Pretty
but
healthy,
yes.
too.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Mon.
Yes. 9 yeas, the license agreement is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the Lowell Cooperative Bank to encroach upon the City of Lowell property at 15 Hurd Street. Let's see. So be it voted by the City Council of Lowell, the City of Lowell as follows. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter a license agreement with Lowell Cooperative Bank to encroach upon City of Lowell property 15 Hurd Street for an overhanging sign to the extent of and more particularly described in Exhibit A attached hereto made part of this license agreement. Said license shall be predicated upon adequate insurance coverage, which insurance coverage shall be kept in force so long as said encroachment continues under this license, and that in the event of a sale or transfer of the property, the license shall be assignable or transferable to any successor licensee herein subject to the provisions of this license agreement. In the event of said insurance coverage shall be canceled or lapses without being renewed or replaced, the license hereunder shall be forthwith terminated, and licensee shall have to cease and desist from said encroachment. Said license shall also be in accordance with the form substantially attached hereto. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with the Lowell Cooperative Bank to encroach upon city property 15 Hurd Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Any questions? Councilor Milonazo.
I actually don't have a question, Mr. Mayor. I just want to acknowledge the fact that Richard Coughlin and his board at Lowell Co-op decided to redo the building at 15 Hurd Street and move some of their administrative facilities into that building. So I think it's a win-win for downtown and for the bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, roll call.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Mr.
9 yeas
Mayor.
approved. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Is that 15 Hurd Street or 50 Hurd Street? What's the address? Because I have 15 and I thought you said 50.
If I said 50, that's a mistake. I meant 15.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The license is approved. The next item is a resolution supporting and establishing a money purchase retirement plan, whereas the City of Lowell has entered into an employment contract with Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108N, and whereas pursuant to the City Manager's employment contract, the City agreed to make annual payments to a retirement plan, and whereas the establishment of money purchase retirement plan benefits eligible employees by providing funds for the retirement for their beneficiaries in the event of death, whereas the City of Lowell desires that the money purchase retirement plan be administered by the ICMA Retirement Corporation, that such funds be invested in the Vantage Trust, a trust established by public employers for the collective investment of funds held under their retirement and deferred compensation plans. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the employer hereby establishes a money purchase retirement plan, the plan in form of ICMA Retirement Corporation Governmental Money Purchase Plan and Trust pursuant to the specific provisions of the adoption agreement attached hereto as Appendix A. The plan shall be maintained for the exclusive benefit of eligible employees and their beneficiaries, and be it further resolved that the employer hereby executes the declaration of trust of the Vantage Trust and attached hereto as Appendix B, intending this execution to be operative with respect to any retirement and deferred compensation plan subsequently established by the employer if the assets of the plan are to be invested in the Vantage Trust. Be it further resolved that the employer hereby agrees to serve as trustee under the plan and to invest the funds held under the plan in the Vantage Trust. Be it further resolved the city treasurer shall be the coordinator of the plan, shall receive the reports, notices, etc. from the ICMA Retirement Corporation or the Vantage Trust, shall cast on behalf of the employer any required votes under the Vantage Trust, and may delegate any administrative duties relating to the plan to the appropriate departments. Be it further resolved that the employer hereby authorizes the city manager to execute all necessary agreements with the ICMA Retirement Corporation incidental to the administration of the plan. Second reading by title of resolution supporting and establishing a money purchase retirement plan. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, can you give us a little background on this plan, the purpose, and any costs associated to the city, and how it came to us? Does the city currently have a number of 401Ks offering?
This is a 401A, is referenced in my employment agreement, that this is the Section 4, Paragraph B of that agreement, that in addition, pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 67, the city shall make annual payments in an amount equal to 10% of the manager's current salary to a retirement plan, which meets the requirements of Section 401A of the Internal Revenue Service Code.
Okay.
Such contributions shall be made by the city on August 1st of each contract year. The manager may elect to make additional contributions to this plan on a voluntary basis up to the limit set forth in the IRS code. Any payments limits set forth in the IRS code shall apply to city payments under this section. So this was supposed to have been done on August 1st this year when I
And does
assumed
this
the
designate
position.
Vantage as who we send the money to, or does it go to ICMA?
It goes to the ICMA, which has a contract with
All right.
Vantage.
Thank you.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In all due respect, Mr. Manager, I didn't support this back in August for this annuity, and I'm not going to support it tonight. Just one question. Does this annuity reflect on your retirement, the amount of salary? This is
deferred compensation.
What's that?
It's deferred compensation. I believe it. I'm not sure how it affects my pension.
But it would go towards your salary.
It's deferred until I retire.
I see. Okay, thank you.
If I may, Counselor, I understand you didn't support this when it was brought forward, but there is an employment agreement with the city that I have that
right, but I didn't
includes this.
support that. I think it was a 6-3 vote. So,
Councilor Broderick?
I mean, I guess we can vote any way we want, but we're going to be, if we vote against it, it's essentially a breach, and maybe we can ask the solicitor?
We're bound
It's
by
a contract now. It's
The solicitor?
I did vote.
I think the question is the rest
Councilor
of the-
Broderick, do you want?
Could I get an opinion from the city solicitor? As far
Sure.
as
Madam Solicitor?
Sure, it's a provision in the contract, as the manager had said, and it's also reflected in the vote. But we are indeed under the city, whether you supported the contract or not. The city itself has entered into a contract, an employment contract with the city manager, and we have an obligation to adhere to the terms of that contract. Again, whether you agreed with the contract or didn't, whether you supported it or voted for it, it doesn't matter. What matters now is that we do have an existing contract, and with that comes certain contractual obligations.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that this is only solidifying the agreement that was made when we hired the city manager, and at that time, with no reflection on you, Mr. Lynch, honest to God, I know that you're probably worth every penny that you get and then some, but when I look around and see that we're talking about financial hardship and people are going to be laid off probably, and we have a department here that has so much stress and lack of help, it's kind of hard for me to have supported that back then because I could see the financial picture. And I thought a pension was one thing, but an annuity on top of it. I didn't support it the last time. We're talking about $14.5 thousand. I'm just reiterating what I voted for the first time. Has nothing to reflect on you personally, honest to God.
Thank you. Councilor Armin Mercia?
Well, I also am one that didn't support the contract, and particularly that section of the contract. However, in our democracy, majority rules. There is a contract in place. It has to be satisfied. I brought the contract out tonight as it relates to a difference I have with the manager, and I think when he reads that, he'll see that I'm right, that there's no other paragraphs there that suggested it shouldn't be voted on, and I'm only going by the contract. I have one question. Who drew up the resolution? Was that you or outside counsel?
I drew up the resolution. It was actually there were some changes made to it, but it was based on a resolution that we'd obtained, HR had obtained from.
Okay. Is there a requirement that the treasurer has to be the coordinator of the plan? Couldn't it be the auditor? Why was the treasurer, who works for the manager, be the coordinator of this plan?
I think in looking, and that was something I had discussed with HR. In answer to your question, it could be the auditor that does it. However, in terms of the actual functions of the office and what this particular resolution would be calling for, what the investing, it's something that typically is done by the treasurer's office. So it was an issue that we had looked at. If it could very well be done by somebody else, but again, in terms of who actually performs that function, I think it's clearly performed typically by the treasurer and not by the auditor.
The other question I have is that, would this affect any other employees that may want to participate in some form, some way?
It would not. You would have to be an eligible employee, and at this particular time,
We don't have.
the only eligible employee.
Okay, but someone wanted to be eligible and was able to get 6 votes from the council to be eligible, they would have the opportunity to participate. According to that eligibility requirement, the following groups of employees are eligible to participate in the plan.
Wouldn't have to be collective bargaining?
Would
Well-
that,
Well, let's let the solicitor.
If other employees became eligible, then yes, they could either have this same plan or, a different plan that does the same thing.
okay. So if this was, as Councilor Elliott mentions, was collectively bargained and was able to get some sort of pension plan like this in their contract, they would be eligible for the same trust because they can't be discriminated against them. Am I right? Not that it'll happen, but I just want to make sure that we all understand that this could apply to other people.
Right, and in fact, on the eligibility requirements in Section 5,
Yep.
it in fact details the different types of groups,
Right.
groups, who may be deemed eligible to participate in this type of a plan. And again, it
And-
would
and
you
if
have
they
all
ultimate-
employees, all
Yeah.
full-time, salaried, non-union, public safety, and then in this case, we have the
Okay.
last category.
So if that took place, then they would also be eligible to participate in this plan.
Right, if they became
Okay.
eligible, correct.
Okay. Now, although I said at the outset that I did not vote for this, I don't support it. However, it is a contract that we entered into with the manager by a majority vote, and so I feel compelled to have to support it, even though I'm doing it with tongue in cheek. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
No.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
No.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes. 7 yeas, the resolution's approved. There is one request for suspension of the rules, a communication from the city manager. Is there any objection to suspension of the rules to entertain this communication? Dear Mayor and Councilors, please be advised I'll be out of town beginning Wednesday, February 28th through Tuesday, March 6th. With the City Council's approval, I would like to recommend that Matt Coggins, DPD Director, be appointed as acting city manager. If you have any questions regarding this request, please do not hesitate to contact me, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. Any questions?
I just have one.
Okay.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
And I'm not seeking any reimbursement.
I'm concerned as a city councilor to have heard this on the way to this meeting tonight on WCAP. I really am bothered by the fact that the communication, at least between you and I, has reached a point when I know you're going to Paris, which I'd love to go with you, and I have to hear it from Mr. McDonough on CAP. I think that you really need to tone your skills as it relates to communications with us. Now, if other members of this council knew it, fine, but I did not know it. And I found out coming here tonight at 5:45, and I'm disturbed by that. I wish that we'd have better communications. I have email, I check every other day, and I know I missed a couple of your communications in the past because I didn't check it every day for personal reasons. But I wish you would consider in the future the courtesy that I think your office should be bringing to us as councilors. I'm saying me specifically because I'm sure there are councilors here that may have known you were leaving for Paris tomorrow, but I'm not one that did. And
I
that
apologize
bothers
for
me.
that, Councilor.
Councilor Donahue?
Well, I didn't know it either, but quite frankly, my experience when managers, be it this manager, the one before him, or the one before him, I only found out the night that I came to a council meeting. By and large, I never got anything in a packet when any manager was going on vacation, be it Manager Cox or Manager Martin. I never got any notice prior to the request, and we only got the notice, quite frankly, when the respective managers asked to appoint somebody else to act as manager. So I'm just speaking from my 11 plus years sitting here. I've never gotten notice ahead of time. I don't have any problem getting the notice ahead of time. I didn't know, and by the way, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with Mr. Coggins acting as manager in your absence. I never had a problem with any of the appointments that the sitting manager asked us to make. But, and again, maybe other counselors knew when Manager Cox and Manager Martin went away. I never did until the night they dropped it on the desk and said, I want you to vote on this tonight. So that's just my experience. I have no problem if you want to tell us ahead of time, but.
Thank you. Councilor Ramirez?
I have no problem with it, and I think Councilor Donahue covered it pretty good. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Broderick?
Thank you. I didn't know how long are you gone? You going to miss a meeting?
I'll be back next Tuesday. I intend to be here unless the plane is delayed for the council meeting.
Unless you're flying JetBlue.
We'll wait. Thank you.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just wondering, are you going on vacation, Mr. Manager, and the Assistant City Manager, T.J. McCarthy, is going on vacation as well?
Actually, that is the case.
That's the reason why, right? Okay, you're not going to Paris together?
We were going to go together, but...
So you're both on vacation?
We will both be away.
Okay.
But Assistant City Manager Coggins will be here.
And I want to clarify something. I didn't know about you going away either, and I didn't listen to WCAP either, and I never knew that our previous city manager was going away anywhere until I saw it on the desk. But if we are we under a suspension of the rules right now, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
But I want to tell you what else troubles me deeply, and that is the fact that I want to publicly apologize to the people in this city that are of Lithuanian descent, because there was a flag-raising ceremony Saturday, and I knew nothing about it until just now. And so you know as well as I do that I never miss one. There's 16 every year, and I don't miss one of them, and I missed that one, and I just found out that there was a Lithuanian. Did you know that? No, we didn't know that. I don't know why there's not a better communication, because this bothers me so.
Well, Councilor, I know I became aware of that ceremony. I know it had been changed, at least on one occasion, and that may have been the reason that council was not notified, but certainly work with the Special Events Office to make sure that doesn't happen in the future.
I want to apologize to the Lithuanian community, because they're very sociable, and I wasn't there, and I feel bad about that.
Okay.
I feel the same, Mr. Mayor. I never missed that ceremony, and with that said, Mr. Manager, have a safe trip.
I just...
Councilor Armin
I want to add that...
And I don't think it's anything to laugh at between the Lowell Sun and Councilor Broderick. I don't know what's so funny about that. I really don't.
Can I just clarify something?
Councilor Armin Mercia.
As you know, Mr. Mayor, I was there along with you. I was there because someone from the organization told me it was taking place, so I didn't know either. But I think you or I, or both of us, explained to the people there that the reason why it was sparsely attended by public officials was because the mix-up may have come from the Lithuanian group themselves, because they had it and they had to cancel it, and they were dealing with Mr. Sanage. And I think what we did, you and I, explained to them that the reason why most of us were not there that usually go was because of that lack of communication breakdown. So I think that they're very much aware that had it not happened that you'd all be there. So, and we made it clear to all of them that that's what took place.
Correct. Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, just so I have a full understanding, I'm not aware of how the council is made aware of these events.
Usually comes through the mayor's office.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to,
Mr.
if there's
Sinach,
anything my office can do to improve that, I would certainly look to do.
I'm not sure it comes through my office.
Well,
I think the special events coordinator delivers
he gives
usually
them
the
the
notices to the packets through the man.
Yeah,
so I don't-
I think with all the respect to everybody, okay, it was a miscommunication because of a recent event that needed to be canceled, and the people from the Lithuanian community were made aware of that, and I clearly believe after talking to them that they do not hold anything against those that did not show because they believe that they themselves had a miscommunication with the city.
Okay. I know, I will verify with my office and the special events office how these things happen, but it's certainly the first time it's happened in the 14 months I've been mayor that I've heard that people weren't notified of a flag raising event. Okay, on the, Councilor Milonazo.
Again, just for everybody's information, there is one this Saturday at 11 o'clock. Just to make sure everybody...
It's in our package.
It's in our packet.
Okay. All right, roll call on the appointment of the Assistant City Manager.
Counselor Ahmed Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Munn?
Yes. Okay, that vote is approved. Subcommittee reports. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a zoning subcommittee meeting to take up the, I guess, the first part of Phase 2 of the zoning amendments that we started last spring. And everybody hopefully had a packet left on their desk this evening from DPD. George Parakos was in with Assistant City Manager Matt Coggins for the subcommittee meeting to explain. And I'll try to be brief. It's 12 pages. We all just got it this evening. They weren't aware of the meeting till sometime this afternoon. So the recommendation, I'll give the recommendation first so that people understand what happened this evening. The recommendation is to adopt 9 out of the 11 zoning changes that are on the pages in front of us. And having said that, it includes number 1, dealing with allowing signs at small ballparks. This was in relation to a motion to allow the Little Leagues and softball fields and soccer fields to advertise and put up signs for advertising to help raise some revenue. So the recommendation is to send that forward to become an ordinance and ordinance form and to go before the planning board in a public hearing. Number 2 is also recommended to be adopted, and that has to do with addressing infectious invalidity for lots divided in zoning, which is a long way of a convoluted way of saying that basically you cannot divide existing land, rendering a parcel non-conforming. So that's basically what it means, and the recommendation is to approve that. The number 3 was also recommended to be adopted. It deals with creating a new parking ratio for takeout restaurants. Currently there is no set ratio to delineate those from regular restaurants. Retail, it's 1 per 100 square feet of the building, and for restaurants, it's 1 per 900 for retail. It's 1 per 100 for restaurants, which puts them at a great disadvantage. So the recommendation from DPD was the parking requirements for drive-throughs would be included in this as well, but for takeout restaurants would be 1 per 300 in the UMU, TMU, NB, and institutional zones, and 1 per 200 in the other zones where it's allowed. And drive-throughs would still be by special permit only where allowed. The next that was recommended to be adopted is the rear yard setback, and this comes basically from the Pawtuckettville Master Plan that we recently approved, and it deals with decks off of the rear of homes. Currently they can be brought right up to the lot line in the rear. There's side yard setbacks existing, but none for the rear. This would make it so that it can't be closer than 5 feet from the rear lot line, and if the deck is greater than 5 feet high, it would be set more, at least 10 feet from the back line, so that we don't have decks essentially looking into the second story of someone's home behind them. And this is a new recommendation, and it's in line with the Pawtuckaville Master Plan, and that is recommended to be adopted. The next one is number 5. It is a floor area ratio change, and it basically prevents extremely large homes on smaller lots. Currently, we have a 0.5 floor area ratio, which means essentially if you have a 10,000 square foot lot, you can build a 5,000 square foot home. The recommendation is to decrease that to 0.35, which would allow a 3,500 square foot home on a 10,000 square foot lot. Now, they're going to look into make sure that there is consistency between the zoning code's interpretation or inclusion of unfinished basements in the assessor's office, because there was a question as to whether it would include unfinished basements in the square footage. So that is recommended to be adopted. Next would be number 6, and this is an important one. It deals with when site plan review would be triggered for single-family structures. The two-family structures are already covered in the zoning ordinance, so this would deal with single-family homes and subdivision in dealing with an approval not required, which means that if they conform with zoning, they don't need to get approval. This is triggered when an application for a building permit is made. So the recommendation is that you can see there's 2 versions, number 1 or number 2, there's no numbers on them, but we recommend approval of the top one, which says that anything greater than 3 lots, the making of 3 lots, should trigger site plan review by the planning board. So the recommendation is to adopt the first option in proposal number 6. That brings us to proposal number 7, which is to clarify site plan review when it's triggered it's essentially for commercial and industrial buildings. And again, this gets into whether it currently says that if you're building greater than 10,000 square feet, site plan review is triggered. But there's been some interpretation issues as to what happens when there's an addition built. Does that trigger? Does it have to be greater than 10,000 square feet in the addition? And this essentially outlines that any new commercial or industrial building that's greater than 10,000 square feet would trigger site plan review. Any addition that's greater than 10,000 square feet would trigger site plan review. And also, any addition that's greater than 50% of the existing building and together with the existing building would make up more than 10,000 square feet total would trigger site plan review. There are some examples down on the bottom for us to look at, and basically this would cover any non-residential building. The recommendation is to adopt that proposal as well. Number 8, the zoning subcommittee recommends we table for further discussion is some other sign issues. This deals with regulating electronic message center signs. It gets into either not allowing them at all or other various ways to regulate, and it's going to be a bit more involved than some of these others, so we thought it'd be wise to push it off. There'll be 6 more coming in. We scheduled another meeting later that I'll announce at the end, but we're going to push it off till that meeting, so we have some more time to come up with a resolution to that. So number 8 is not recommended being adopted at this time. Number 9 is to clarify the application of the use table for additions to structures and mixed-use projects. This deals with, basically, as it says, an addition in where you're mixing uses. If you have a structure and you're going to add a use that's a change in use to that same lot, you now have to conform with both uses. It clarifies, whether you have to conform with just the one you're adding. In some instances, that would make the existing one non-conforming. So it basically says you now have to conform with both so that you can't skirt around and make a non-conforming use out of your first existing dwelling or structure. So the recommendation is to adopt number 9. Number 10 is a clarification on the allowance of home occupations with some off-site work. The recommendation from the subcommittee was to approve this. All it does is it clarifies the fact that people can work out of their home, but the work done there is to be confined to within their dwelling, and is conducted solely by the persons occupying the dwelling as a primary residence. It means no employees, and the code already deals with, and this does not allow for patients, clients, or customers to come to the home. That would be, as I understand it, a special permit that would be applied for. It is not covered under this the zoning as it sits now, and with the proposal that would stay in place. All it is to allow people to do work in their home, not outside. It doesn't deal with storage or anything else that's already covered and is not allowed. Excuse me. So the recommendation from the subcommittee was to adopt that proposal as well. And the final proposal, number 11, is provide new fencing regulations dealing with basically for residential fencing. It talks about commercial as well, but the residential hasn't been updated. And again, the recommendation is that we table that for further discussion and bring that in with the 6 new items that will be going. We'll be continuing on, I believe it's March 13th at 5:30. It's a Tuesday night, 2 weeks out from tonight, to take up the next 6. And DPD did apologize. We all got this tonight, kind of short notice for all this information, but they were not aware of the meeting having been scheduled. And we will get the next packet either before or in our Friday packet before the next subcommittee meeting. Hopefully that addresses what went on. It was a very involved meeting, a lot of information, and Councilor Milanazzo and Councilor Elliott were on the subcommittee. Councilor Donahue and Mr. Manager was here, and Councilor Armin Mercy and Councilor Caulfield as well. So if anybody has anything to add, but that was essentially it. The recommendation is to adopt those sections to be brought forward in ordinance form, which my understanding from the solicitor is it would go to the planning board for a recommendation in a public hearing. And Mr. Manager, if we could please have this posted on the website as well for people that have not had the opportunity to see this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further questions or comments on that? Okay. Motion to adopt the report of the subcommittee by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The subcommittee recommendation is adopted. Councilor Elliott.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to add that we are going to be meeting in a couple of more weeks, specifically for 6 more items that'll be brought forward in the zoning code, as well as have probably a full discussion of sign issues. I know that I've received some concerns from people in a couple of neighborhoods as they relate to the illuminated signs or that was part of this, but I just wanted to let them know that in 2 weeks, they be, at least be made aware that we're going to meet and there'll be a discussion of the entire sign ordinance. So just wanted to add that to Councilor Broadwick's report.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further subcommittee reports? Okay, hearing none, we move to the petitions. We do have one petition submitted by Thomas A. Wharton, 55 Brookside Street. The petition reads as follows. Now comes Thomas A. Wharton, 55 Brookside Street, Lowell, and hereby petitions any and all city councilors to file on his behalf for consideration action by the Lowell City Council motion directing city manager through the law department to prepare, issue, serve upon Lowell Telecommunication Corporation the so-called 90-day notice of non-renewal of contract between the city and Lowell Telecommunication Corporation forthwith, effective immediately. Respectfully submitted, Thomas A. Wharton. Mr. Wharton, I assume you want to be heard on this matter. Just remind you that we have a 5-minute rule here, so entertain any comments you'd like to make.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, ladies and gentlemen, members of the City Council, and certainly one and all of you, my friends. Last week, the chairman of the subcommittee, Mr. Caulfield, was very, very charitable to Lowell Telecommunications Corporation and was quite correct in offering positive reinforcement for a positive step. Now, unfortunately, I never thought that I'd be here in this situation tonight, or that I would retire, or that my relationship with Lowell Telecommunications Corporation would end in such a way. But I owe all of you, each and every one of you, the truth, and the absolute truth, and that's what you get delivered tonight. Now, after the subcommittee hearing of February 6th, I was devastated. I could not believe what was being represented to you from beginning to end, and the notions that were being presented to you. And I know at least one other city councilor who also sits on the board couldn't believe what they were hearing either, because it was utterly unacceptable. So what I did was, in the middle of a trial where I had to be in court every day, I stayed up all night, the night of February 7th and February 8th, and drafted 2 motions that you have in your pamphlet entitled Producer Responsibility, that would require the producer to be identified on every show, and one entitled Adult-Oriented Material. You heard a lot of talk on the airways about my motivations in placing these. I can reassure you that all of the fine city councilors that have enjoyed my emails on here have read those 2 motions and know them to be exactly what they were and exactly what they're intended: proposed solutions to the very specific problems posed by the situation. You want to know the truth, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, members of the City Council? They are all you have seen. They're all you have seen in the way of proposed solutions. 32 hours after you heard the disgrace before the subcommittee in here on February 6th, these proposed solutions were right under their nose. The executive director, every producer, and every director on that board, right under their nose. And the truth, Mr. Mayor, is that no matter what happens now, no matter what happens from this point forward, there's all you've seen in the way of action and resolution and proposed solutions. And what have you seen from them? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And the truth, and I'll stand on the truth, is that if they do what they did at that board meeting, it could be up to 8 weeks. 8 weeks before you even see anything comparable to this. And I know one good city solicitor, one that has all of our respect, who wherever they walk in, whatever they come in with, we'll put them up side by side, and we'll see who has solutions. Now, bear in mind that this document was created, these motions were created 1 week before Dave Fenton issued his opinion. Anyone show them to Dave Fenton? No. The truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that had anybody shown Dave Fenton these motions, this might be all over right now. But instead, you're being asked to wait 8 weeks for solutions where they were put right under their nose within 32 hours of the time. And that's the truth, and that's a very, very serious problem, because this organization has very serious problems, or I wouldn't leave it. Second, consider this.
Mr. Wortman, you're already past the 5 minutes, so if you could...
I'm sorry, if I may extend my remarks, it's important in support of the motion. Briefly,
Briefly, please, yeah.
The day before these were written, Councilor Rita Mercier and I had the same experience. We both asked for the name of the producer, and we both asked to see that show, and were both denied by the executive director. Absolutely refused. And let the record of this meeting reflect that I am a senior member of the programming committee. Thus, we have a man that invoked the jurisdiction of the programming committee and then quit it. That's a very serious problem. But number three, the most serious problem of all, is with utter disappointment that I look you all straight in the eye and tell you I can't fix it. I can't. In all the times that I fixed it over the years, I've been part of the solution as a member of the programming committee, as a director working on things inside and outside of public view. I can't fix it because building community through technology has turned into the house of hypocrisy, where we don't even follow our own rules and don't even honor our own committees. Honored councilors, you must act to protect all of our interests. Because the truth is that if you issue that notice now, number one, any good-hearted individuals in this city that want to compete and to present an alternative proposal that'll be more responsive to the city and that'll follow its own rules will have more of an opportunity. Number two, if you issue that notice now, it's the shot across the bow that just might turn LTC around and get them to the point where they're willing to act rather than to talk, and to take care of the leadership problems that they have at the top. But number three, and most important of all, it's important for all of you to negotiate from a position of strength. If you act, you are in the driver's seat. And the amended formula for funding of the organization, which I've heard is now phrased, quote, 2-2-1, may be very appropriate and may be something that we realize, and a formula for solutions. Now, Councilor Milanazzo has a motion on behind me of some brilliant work done by Steve Panagiotakis. Until this incident, I would have never thought of such a thing, but I think your proposal merits serious consideration, Jimmy. I really, really do. Folks, number three, since my motion is unopposed, I suggest that it be unanimously approved forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wharton.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Cable Subcommittee, Councilor George Ramirez, Councilor Rita Mercier, and myself, and the entire council was fully outraged at the show that was shown on LTC. And we weren't charitable with our comments, with our replies to Mr. Hague, and I think he knows that. First of all, I'm disappointed that Tom Whitten resigned from LTC and has taken all the shows off. Brookside Garden and many other shows that he produced were excellent, and those are gone now. So the viewers not going to see those shows anymore, Tom, and I'm sorry to see that happen. You brought a lot of positive things to LTC. Not only serving on the board, but producing those shows. The second meeting we had with Mr. Hague, and through the efforts of Solicitor David Fenton, I think as a whole, the council and the subcommittee brought an ultimatum to the LTC board and to Mr. Hague to more or less get your act together. Tom, I don't know what you want us to do with this. I don't know where it would go. I honestly think that a shot has been fired across Mr. Haig's bow. I think everyone is coming to the table, and they are going to improve the way they operate at LTC, especially on Channel 8. At the last subcommittee meeting, there were 27 members of the Southeast Asian community here in outrage as well. And the subcommittee brought that problem to the desk of Mr. Haig. And I will admit, Tom, there's a lot to be desired, but the subcommittee and the council brought Mr. Haig to the forefront, and we more or less told him, the next time we'll be stern and our criticism will be harsh. I don't know what this would do to either improve those situations or hurt the program. And Tom, why don't you rethink of producing some shows there? You were excellent. You did a great job.
But I couldn't fix it.
Well,
I couldn't repair.
Rather than move and be in a negative way, why don't you try to fix the problem rather than run away from it? Okay.
I tried.
Oh,
Councilor Mercier?
That's all I have to say.
I'd like to refer the petition, which is what's before us, to the Cable Subcommittee for a report and recommendation.
Okay, motion to refer the petition to the Cable Subcommittee for report and recommendation. Councilor Armin Mercier, second by Councilor Broderick. Further discussion on this matter? Okay, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's approved. Next matter on the agenda is a motion, under the motions, there's only one motion this evening by Councilor Milanazzo. City Council requests that the bill filed in the Senate relative to cable competition and choice for consumers, Mass General Laws, proposed Mass General Laws, Chapter 166B, be forwarded to the Cable Issue Subcommittee for review. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Milanazzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Timing in life is everything, I guess. I was at a Northern Middlesex Council of Governments meeting last Wednesday, and they actually brought this bill that's being proposed by Senator Panagiotakis to NIMCOG for discussion. And at that meeting, it was suggested that they not only invite Senator Panagiotakis to the next NIMCOG meeting, but I asked if this could be referred to our cable subcommittee, which they agreed to table discussion until after those two events occurred. So I did leave a bill summary at each one of my colleagues' desks this evening. So again, if we could send this to the subcommittee for a report and recommendation, I would appreciate that.
Okay. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to have I'm welcoming your motion, Councilor Milanazzo, because I think there should be some discussion on it, because I heard pros and cons of both what's good about this and what isn't. And I heard, and I don't know how true it is because I haven't seen the bill until just this evening, but I'm understanding, and I don't know how true this is, that if we accept this bill, that it would be that we would lose local jurisdiction, that we would have no more say on this cable. As you could see, we refer things to our subcommittee, and it reminds me of the clean election bill. Everybody is in favor of a clean election, and then we saw where that went with that. It wasn't really what it appeared to be. And everybody is wanting a choice. This bill specifies a choice, and we all know how the FCC and the federal government just allows the cable company to rob us legally, which is a farce. And we know how frustrated we all are with seeing our bills escalate when they give a 10% discount to the elderly that, for God's sakes, they raise the figure 3 times of what that 10% discount is, which isn't on your whole cable bill, it's just on basic cable. So there's little ins and outs that I want to clarify, to lose local governing of our local cable, that any issue that came up before us, we would have no say on it. It would be up to the state to decide. These are the things that I want to clarify before I decide I want to support something. And of course, we know Senator Panagiotakis is so forthright and what he says we kind of listen to, but I want to be the judge myself to see what is the pros and cons of accepting this bill. So that is a good motion to bring forward so that we can get to the meat of this issue. And I don't want to be hoodwinked like we were with the clean election bill. Does this fall under that as well? And I know we always say a monopoly is not a good thing. It certainly is not a good thing. But is it something that we have to have before us, or we lose all local governing of this? And so that's the issue. Thank you.
Councilor Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Perhaps the chairman of the subcommittee, Councilor Caulfield, you can invite the author of the bill, Senator Panagiotakis, to attend our next subcommittee and be good enough to give us his side of things.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I spoke to Councilor Milanazzo, and I think this is an excellent motion. And we definitely would invite Senator Panagiotakis and any other elected official who could offer insight on this. And the competition, especially with cable TV, I think it's a wonderful thing. It puts everyone on their best foot and puts their best foot forward. And competition is one way of addressing this issue. And we all know the fees that we all pay for cable TV. And they're extraordinary high. They're too high. And I'm not a lover of Comcast, believe me. So this is an excellent motion, and the subcommittee will certainly address this fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ramirez, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Lastly, maybe the solicitor can also attend the meeting, because we're going to have some questions regarding the contract and how that may affect things. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a question through you, Mayor, to the manager of the city. Actually, it says city solicitor. In Mr. Wortman's report, it references attorneys, Attorney August and Dave Fenton. Who negotiates the contract for the city? Is it Mr. I always presumed that it was Attorney Fenton. So who is Attorney August?
August is the attorney for the telecommunications, Lowell Telecommunications.
Okay.
I believe he did do work for the city at one point in time, probably about 5 or so years ago, but he just does work for LTC now.
So the city is completely responsible for negotiating the contract with...
The city is responsible for negotiating the contract with Comcast. The city is also responsible for negotiating a contract with LTC, but the LTC does not participate in the negotiations with Comcast.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what this bill does. It seems to respond to a lot of the problems and issues that we've certainly all heard from our constituents, especially in terms of service and just having another option when there's just Comcast. So, you know, at the outset, it seems like it makes sense. We've had no competition. We've been, sort of, held to one particular provider, and if people don't like that, they go to DirecTV. This seems to at least give an opportunity for competition, which is what we want. Council Mercer is right. One consistent complaint is the cable bill goes up, the service goes down, the options are less, and we just keep paying more. So I'll look forward to to the meeting to get an understanding as to what this exactly does. Mr. Manager, maybe you can share something, but it doesn't seem to give up a lot of local control. It seems to give municipalities the same, if not more, municipal powers over the franchise holder.
Mr. Manager.
If I may, I had a meeting with Verizon today. Verizon's the main sponsor of this legislation as they're trying to roll out their cable service. And and I've also had the opportunity to speak with Senator Pangiatakis about this. It's a piece of legislation that's actually opposed by the Municipal Association in most municipalities, or many municipalities around the state. I did have, as I say, I met with Verizon today. It was actually a very good meeting. Essentially what this does, right now, anyone that wants to provide cable service, if Verizon, and we've sent a letter to Verizon urging them to come into Lowell and provide the service to the city. They've currently providing it or rolling it out in Tewksbury. I know they're doing the same in Andover. I learned today they're doing it in Lawrence. But we've asked them to come into Lowell and offer that service here. What this legislation does, right now, a provider like Verizon would have to come to us, submit a proposal, and then we would go into a negotiation with them, just as we do with Comcast, in identifying and working out the details of how much would go to, what type of fee would be charged that would go towards PEG access that would fund the LTC or the equivalent within the city. Just as Comcast provides 5% now, we could negotiate a fee with another provider to also provide funding. We would negotiate with that provider any type of capital contribution that they would make, just as we negotiated with Comcast several years ago. You would work out all of those different details, the senior discount, the emergency override capabilities, what the system would consist of. What this legislation does is it takes that away from the municipalities and essentially sets up a statewide franchise. It would then be up to each community to determine, under the umbrella state franchise, how you wanted to actually implement more of a local version of that franchise. So, for instance, if the city determined that they didn't want to do the 5%, they wanted to do a lesser amount. If they didn't want to do, it would put in a 1% cap on capital costs. Right now, it's an unlimited amount that we could go to Comcast and try to negotiate. Here, it would limit it to 1%. It would put in, as I say, more of a statewide franchise than we would utilize as a guide. The meeting today, as I say, was very positive. They answered a number of my questions, and they're going to get me some more information, and I'll certainly pass that on to the subcommittee. I think that there's some room for some compromise here with the municipalities and with Verizon, and the senator has indicated that his concern is, I think, similar to all of ours, that there be competition and that municipalities are not adversely impacted. But I can tell you right now, municipalities across the Commonwealth have opposed this. There's also federal action that the Verizon and some of the other providers are looking to take out all types of local franchises completely, so that they could just pretty much roll out as they saw fit. The FCC has issued some regulations on that are being challenged now in the courts, and so everything is getting a little tied up at the federal level. But this is a moving target in terms of this particular issue.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor Armin Mercier.
Just one question. The negotiation with Comcast or Verizon or whatever has no connection with LTC in terms of the city.
That's correct.
If the city entered into an agreement with Comcast and had more money for our LTC or for our public assets, we could be negotiating with another entity to carry this off.
Absolutely.
For example, the high schools got a system. The fact that we're negotiating with Comcast and Verizon, whoever wins that has no bearing on our relationship with some other entity or the same one, LTC.
Completely separate. Okay. Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager, if I could, though, when the solicitor does weigh in on this, I know in the cable contract with Comcast, for example, I don't think we have the right to simply not renew them. I think they're almost entitled to renewal unless we demonstrate, some failure. And so, and Mr. Wortman's request tonight, I think, is asking us to put LTC on some similar type notice. So I think it'd be helpful for the subcommittee when it does reach this issue that the solicitor weigh in on what that process is, at least as so far as it impacts LTC. Okay. There does seem to be some process here, because that's what Mr. Wortman's requested.
Mr. Mayor, when the Cable TV Subcommittee convenes, you can rest assured there'll be a member of the Law Department there, and to advise us, give us direction and so forth, so.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion's approved and the matter is referred to the Cable Subcommittee. Motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The meeting stands adjourned. Thanks, Angela.